Sound speeds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, serious movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast coming to you from Planet Hollywood, Planet Earth.
Not Las Vegas. Not that Planet Hollywood.
Not where you can eat on the stone block or the ice block of Sylvester Stallone. Is that correct?
Naked Sylvester
I've actually
Stallone.
never been to a Planet
Oh,
Hollywood.
they're terrible. They are absolutely
They
terrible.
are not good.
All right, well,
Ooh.
follow us on Twitter at Speaking Cinema. Rate, review, subscribe. Listen to us Jibber Jabber on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and whatever podcatcher or wherever anyone illegally
Podcatcher.
reposts. Podcatcher. That's what it's called.
What?
Yep. Podcatcher. Catches podcasts.
Like a dream catcher?
I am your host, Mr. Jibber Jabber. With me today is Death Proof Kevin Merritt
Hello.
and Matt Hooper Mondegaro.
Oh, hi.
Hooper, huh?
We'll get to it.
We're getting there.
No time to waste, Kevin, because today is our final episode of season 1 of the Jibber Jabber. If God could do the things that we could do, he'd be a happy man. 1980s, the Stunt Man. Do you get the references now yet?
I get it.
I've never seen this movie, so I don't know.
I get what you're doing.
Hooper is a movie about a stunt man.
As is
Hooper? Oh.
As is Death Proof.
As his death.
Well, no, I see. I thought it was a
it-
reference to the actual movie Stuntman, and then Hooper was the character from
The Stunt Man.
Jaws.
Speaking of the Stunt Man, written by Lawrence B. Marcus, directed by Richard Rush. If you've
What a
forgotten,
good name.
what, Richard Rush? Yeah, it's pretty
You
good.
can't not be a movie director like with a name like that.
It's either you're doing like extreme sports or you're making movies.
Also, extreme sports. What are you? 60? Extreme sports?
That's what they're called. What do you call them?
Nothing. Sports?
What do you call the show on fucking X Games?
Garbage?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
man.
Moving on.
Moving on. If you're not familiar, which Matt, I don't believe you
I
are,
don't know.
back on track. Gonna edit all that out. This is the story of a young fugitive who hides out as a stunt double on the set of an anti-war movie, whose charismatic director will seemingly do anything for the sake of art. Admittedly, I did not know anything about this movie before I sat down to do the research on this movie. Kev, this is your pick,
Yes, it is.
and our final pick of season 1.
Final pick.
This is the season where we all voted on movies, so I did end up okaying this movie along with Matt, even though neither of us know anything about it.
Well, I mean, unless the movie was complete garbage, we will okay pretty much
Yeah,
anything.
and I'm very upset that we're not doing Biker Boys. Very upset, Matt.
Veto. Ultimate veto.
All right, so background on this movie: after the success of Getting Straight, which was the top movie of the year for Columbia, they asked Richard Rush if he would want to do The Stunt Man. It was a book by Paul Boder.
Yes. All but.
Have you read that book,
I have not read it.
Matt?
Nope.
Me neither. The head of the studio told Rush that directors Francois Truffaut, 400 Blows, and Arthur Penn, Bonnie and Clyde, were in line as well. Rush passed. He did not like the book. Rush kept thinking about it, though, and eventually he wrote an outline on his own time, pitched it to the studio. Studio liked it, so Rush and the studio hired Larry Marcus, and they spent 9 months writing the movie, which seems like a very long amount of time, but
I feel like when you go through all the drafts and stuff, it should take you about a year to nail a really good script.
well, my research I do not know how many drafts that entailed, and
Sure. Yeah,
according to this-
everybody writes at a different pace.
well, but according to the Script Notes podcast, 10 weeks is normal, but that's now though. This is at this point we're in 1970, 71, 72.
this is when directors. There's still a lot of those kind of those rogue directors out there, as there were in the 70s.
Rogue
And
directors.
kind of really, like the Scorsese,
Yeah.
the Truffauts, and those, and they kind of got to do, kind of had free reign to do whatever they wanted. So
Indeed. Speaking of that script, Rush, the script is very different from the book. Rush was in love with it. The studio was under hard times, according to Richard Rush at the time, and they didn't get it. He tried to shop it around, and no one got it. Right, to give us a time frame, right now it's the the early 70s. So the reasons for the no's were, one, the movie references Vietnam, and no one wanted to talk about Vietnam. Movies are risky, so says Hollywood, and no one had made a movie about stunts, and they wanted to keep the stunts secret. That's what Richard Rush said that people told him in the 70s. He thinks it's because the movie is complex and does not fit into any easy category. Because the film is designed to be an action movie, a comedy, a drama, an anti-war story, a love story, a parody of the movie industry, and all of that is encapsulated in a surreal storytelling, blurring the lines between illusion and reality. So not an easy one-sheet poster,
Exactly.
not an easy trailer to promote.
Yeah, he very much talks about it does not fit in a mold, and when you guys watch this movie, you'll see it doesn't fit in a very easy mold.
It does kind of sound like what we would now deem like the very broad category of like awards movie. You know what I mean? Like it's something that
It's way more unhinged than your average,
Ooh.
like, Oscar bait kind of movie.
interesting.
Yeah, it does not play by, like, Oscar bait rules.
Not Oscar bait, but that kind of movie that you could put out during that time where people are more accepting of things that are thoughtful
True. Okay,
and
I
a little
see
bit
what
weird.
you're saying.
No, yeah, not Oscar bait, and I get what you're saying because there's two categories. There's award movies and then there's Oscar bait. You know what I mean? Oscar bait is like
A Beautiful Mind.
yeah, that's its own beast. So Rush was held up on it for years. In the meantime, he worked on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but eventually did not direct that movie. He ended up doing Freebie and the Bean, 1974 at Warner Brothers. This car chase movie. Again, according to Rush, it was the top movie of the year at Warner Brothers. I did not have time to look into if that is true, but we're going to say it is for the context of this movie. The whole time he was still thinking about the Stuntman, and he wanted it to be his next movie. The studio only wanted to make it if it was a straight action movie. They didn't want to make it if it was this weird reflective kind of work. And then, hilariously, Warner Brothers wanted to make a movie called The Stuntman, and they asked Rush if they could do it. He said no. They said, we're going to do it anyways. They went to WGA arbitration. The arbitration ruled in favor of Rush. That movie ended up being Hooper with
Mustache McGee.
Mustache McGee, Burt Reynolds.
There you go.
That's why I called you Hooper.
Now I sort of get it.
Eventually, Mel Simon, who was apparently a shopping mall magnate, got in the game to finance it. They had to do a bunch of rewrites because they kept trying to change the script to make it more sellable, and then they had to change it back. The movie is shot on a negative pickup with Columbia getting the first look. It's not exactly clear if it's Columbia based on what Rush says, but I'm pretty sure it's Columbia. Sorry, guys.
Sounds about right.
Couldn't figure it. Also,
This movie had a very long journey to the screen.
This movie had a very long
Keep
journey.
in mind, all this stuff we just talked about, not a frame of this movie has been shot.
Right. And if you look on the internet for trying to research this, there's not a lot written about this movie. I had to get a lot of this information from obscure sources and the documentary that Richard Rush made himself. This is a very one-sided argument. Production was tough. It rained every day. There's a really great story about how they shot a scene where a World War I plane flies over a hotel.
The Del Coronado Hotel in San Diego.
Right. And the FAA would not give them permission to shoot this scene, but there was an airbase a little ways away, so they found out who was the admiral associated with the base, started flying the plane, radioed the base and said that the admiral said it was okay for them to land there, faked radio trouble, and then flew over the thing 10 times, and then went back and landed it at the original thing. And Rush was saying, he's like, I expected them to come with guns blaring the next day, and no one said anything.
That's movie making, folks. Sometimes you got to bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah. So they finished the movie. They screened it for the studio at Rush's house, presumably in Los Angeles. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say. So Rush came out. He's introducing the movie. Blah blah blah. Introduces the editor. The editor introduces the movie, and then he says, "Hey, oh Richard, by the way, I changed that one scene that we were working on back to the original one." And he's like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, why would you do that?" You know, and he said, "Oh yeah, I just did it. I just decided to do it." And he's like, "You did without telling me, without consulting me, etc. etc." And the guy's like, "Yeah." So Rush pulls out a handgun and shoots the guy 6 times in the chest. He actually didn't do that. He didn't change the scene. They were all squibs. The gun was full of blanks. But the guy falls down dead. Blood squibs go over the entire studio.
An audience of studio executives in their
in their suits and stuff, covered in blood, ears ringing, and then Rush says, "Start the show!" And his assistant drags the guy away. The message that he wanted to put out there was, "Don't fuck with my movie," but I think the message that was received was, "This man is a fucking psychopath."
Absolutely insane.
Certifiably insane.
So Rush and his financiers, so they didn't want to put out the movie. Rush and his financiers opened the movie in Seattle on one screen, where it did very well.
Gave exclusive access to the Seattle Critic at the time.
which was very risky because if the critic shits on it, then you're totally fucked. But the critic really liked it. Studio still wasn't impressed. They opened it in Columbus, Ohio, Phoenix, Arizona, and finally in Westwood. Studio still was like, we can't get behind this movie. Eventually, Fox picked it up and it had a very limited release. And while the movie did not have a wide release, its obscurity and critical praise has garnered a cult following. 3 Academy Award nominations. Best Actor Peter O'Toole lost to De Niro in Raging Bull. Best Director Richard Rush lost to Robert Redford for Ordinary People. Best Adapted Screenplay lost to Ordinary People, Alvin Sargent. As of this recording, you can find this movie on Hulu. It's on Hulu. You can buy it on Amazon Prime. It's not on iTunes. I don't know if Fox still has the rights, or I don't know if it's reverted to some other studio and someone else has bought it up. You know, I know MGM has purchased, you know, they all buy from each other and stuff, so I don't know what's going on with that, but DVDs exist, Blu-rays exist. Kev has the Blu-ray. Kev, you like that Blu-ray?
Oh yeah, very nice restoration and a bevy of special features.
So if you like it on that physical me, that Fizz me, you know where to get it.
Fizz me.
Okay. Sorry.
You're okay.
Ignore my groan of abbreviation.
Well, I will not, and I'll follow this up with, Matt, have you heard of this movie?
I think I've heard about it by name. I knew Peter O'Toole was in it. That's all I knew about it. I know nothing else about it.
I will say I heard about this movie 3-4 months ago when I said, hey, Kev, let's do a podcast. Give me a list of movies that you want to do. Put them on this Google Doc spreadsheet. And you were the Stuntman, and I Googled it, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
So I chose this movie. This is my pick. I first saw this in film school. I believe it was my junior year. Could have been my senior year. But
It makes a difference. We're going to have to pause this and get clarification. Junior or senior?
Decide.
I believe senior year.
Matt, was it junior or senior? I'm
I'm gonna go with senior year.
going to say senior year, too.
Okay.
All right.
It's been unanimous.
Unanimous.
I had a professor. His name was Tom Mullen. He is recently retired and living a nice, quiet life in Wyoming. Hi, Tom, if you're listening. He was really into like kind of these kind of underground counterculture, sort of off the mainstream movies. Like Bad Lieutenant was one that he had the Bad Lieutenant poster in his office.
Nice.
The one with Harvey Keitel.
Yes, with Harvey Keitel.
That is a really upsetting poster.
You suck cock. Anyway.
That movie. What the fuck? Okay, sorry.
But anyways, he was really into those, and he showed our class the Stuntman, of which I had never heard about it. Smokey is looking up Bad Lieutenant.
And
right
This
now.
poster where Harvey Keitel's naked on it?
Like,
Yes.
they obscure his wiener with darkness, and it's like,
that wiener ain't obscured in that movie.
no.
Let me
If
tell you
there's one
that
thing
much.
Harvey Keitel likes to do, it's flash his fucking wiener in
Yep.
every movie. Sorry.
Anyways, but yeah, he showed this film in class. I had never heard of it, was intrigued by the premise when I read about it, and really kind of fell in love with it when we watched it in class. It's just very, like we talked about, it's really hard to categorize, but it's a really singular vision. It's just it's funny, it's dramatic, it has great performances. I just can't think of any other movie like it, and I kind of want to get it more exposure because I feel like it's not in the lexicon when people talk about great movies or even great cult movies. So I kind of want to give it the exposure that I think it deserves.
Yes, and in the research for this movie, watching the documentary and stuff like that, it does seem to be shot in a way that feels very modern. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of times, sometimes you watch old movies and you see them shot in a way that feels dated, feels...
Very static, kind of like static shots on what are very obviously sets, kind of saying old-timey dialogue.
Right. It feels theatrical in a bad way. And I feel like, from what I've seen in this movie, it feels theatrical in a good way. So we'll see how that all shakes out in the end. But it really seems like one of these like 1980s movies that feels like it could be made tomorrow.
I think it's kind of more in the 70s vein, like the late 70s vein.
Interesting.
Not quite into that 80s style yet. So yeah, I think it kind of belongs in with like Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, The Conversation, movies like, of kind of that generation of films.
Right.
It really, it's
Roar.
Roar. It's kinetic.
Also, I promise. Sorry, I don't mean to cut
No
you off,
worries.
but I promise you, we're doing that movie for this fucking podcast.
Roar.
That movie.
I don't, Matt. I don't care. I don't care, Matt.
So irresponsible.
I don't. It's the most irresponsible movie ever made. We have to talk about it.
Exactly. We have to. But yeah, I just feel this movie is very cinematic, very alive. Like I said, great performances. It has this unhinged feeling that's really hard to capture. And like I said before, I feel like not a lot of people know about it, even to this day. And I want to get it out there, and hopefully you'll discover it and enjoy it, or debate it as much as some have.
All right. So this movie is not formally credited to Richard Rush in terms of writing, but it is directed to him. He did seem to work on the writing, but it's credited to the other guy.
Correct.
What do you guys? Are you guys familiar with him? He did. The last movie he directed was Color of Night.
Oh. No. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I am not familiar with Richard Rush at all.
No, I've never heard of him either, but when you mention Color of Night, that just brings up a whole lot of other things
Yeah,
that are terrible.
I will confess I have not seen any of his other movies besides Stuntman.
Oh, really?
I have not. So
Interesting.
For as much as I like this film, I have not seeked out his other.
A lot of his '60s stuff is countercultural, kind of like Hell's Angels on Wheels, Psych Out, and then it seems like
Some of like Roger Corman pictures.
he moved into doing more like actiony movies, and then he ended with Color of Night, and that was a career. Also, supposedly, the character played by Peter O'Toole in this is Eli Cross, and Eli Cross was the name that he used when he made exploitation movies. But I cannot find in my research I could not find the exploitation movies credited to Eli Cross. There's a porno director named Eli Cross, and his work just kept popping up on my Google search.
You almost said it kept coming, and then I was like, yeah, too rich dialogue here.
You're a monster.
But
It was tip of your tongue. Okay, anyway, moving on.
yeah, it was Peter
Yeah.
O'Toole was a fan of the film Freebie and the Bean, directed by Richard Rush, which Peter O'Toole's ex-wife recommended to him in her breakup note to him. He said, "I think you'll enjoy this film, Freebie and the Bean." He really liked the film. When he was approached to do the Stuntman by Richard Rush, he was very excited that it was Richard Rush had directed Freebie and the Bean, and he told Richard Rush, "If you do not give me the part of Eli Cross, I will kill you."
He did say that.
Yes.
He did say that. And he admits to as much.
He admits to it freely and openly. So.
Good for him.
You guys familiar with Peter O'Toole? I shamefully have not seen Lawrence of Arabia ever.
Oh, my goodness.
Peter
Mike.
O'Toole, just one of the great, I want to say great American actors because he's British, but
Yep.
so I will say one of the greatest actors of all time.
The Lawrence of Arabia Blu-ray, a gorgeous restoration of that film.
Also, The Last Emperor, very fantastic in that movie. Also, to his credit, he was in Phantoms. Just gonna put that out there.
To all you Phantoms fans. out
Phantom,
there.
Ben Affleck. Fuck. I don't even know. What
It doesn't matter.
I mean, Affleck was the bomb in Phantom, so.
Kevin Smith reference. Drink if you're looking out for Kevin Smith references.
Ratatouille. He was
Yeah, he was great in that one.
As Anton Ego, the critic that had a bone to pick with.
That was him, huh?
Yep, that was Peter O'Toole. One of
Badass.
his, went through many wives in his career, from what I understand. But yeah, I think he's a fine actor, embodies every role he's in. An iconic voice, an iconic look,
Just a class
Love
act
those-
all around.
Love those fucking cigarettes.
and smoked him till the day he died, which was
Good
just
for him.
most recent, pretty recent,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
R.I.P. So what do you think about? So this movie's about Stuntman, from what I understand. What do you guys think about Stuntman as a concept?
Deserve a lot more credit than they get.
Yeah, they're really just. They're doing the things that could kill them, and it's insane the things that they have to go through just to get a shot.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
the amount of prep they have to do, they're working months before you know, any kind of actor comes in
Right.
or anything, unless they're, you know, Keanu Reeves, where he's working directly with the stunt team, which he did on John Wick, a fantastic film.
Which I want to do on this podcast.
Hey, I'm all for it. But yeah, I feel. I think there should be an Academy Awards category for stunt work.
That's my next question,
Well-
which we'll get into. Let me say something real quick. I feel like right now our love for Stuntman is at all-time high. Mad Max Fury Road came out this summer, which
love
was
it.
so many practical effects, so many motorcycle jumps, so many car crashes.
It's made death-defying stunts,
Right.
And somehow nobody died.
Right, and also we live in Cirque du Soleil world, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's like a cool thing, and that in a way, it's kind of like that's a very artistic stunt show with dancing and stunts and things, and acrobatics. As a kid, I feel like Stuntman was like one of those like romanticized jobs where it's like that's like a cool movie job. You know what I mean? Like being a director, being a stuntman, you gotta like drive cars really fast, and you know what I mean. I feel like as a kid, I was like, damn, dude, that's really cool. Matt, what do you think about Academy Award for stunts?
I think it does need to exist. You know, if you're talking about the art of costumes, lighting, sound, cinematography, all these technical things, you know, a stunt plays just an important role in storytelling as anything. So I think that there needs to be recognition for them.
While I agree with your point that it is a critical thing in storytelling and visual storytelling, etc., I do not think there should be an Academy Award for stunts at all.
Why?
Because the nature of Hollywood. I was ready to move on. The nature of Hollywood is such that in order to win awards, people will push stunts to more and more dangerous levels and risk people's lives at the sake of getting an award, which is not something that we should support in any sort of way. And if, not to get political here, but that Barack Obama, no, not to get political here, but you see that stuff like, you know, not Midnight Cowboy. What was that one movie with the train accident?
Oh, Midnight Rambler?
Fuck it.
The one about Greg Allman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Midnight, this is gonna fuck with me.
Don't worry about it.
Midnight
something.
Rider.
Midnight Rider. Midnight Rider, where they shot the movie on a train track and they didn't have the rights to shoot on the train track, and it was around a bend, and it was like once they see the train, you have 1 minute to move all your shit, and you have to run against traffic. I think the fact that that shit is still happening in 2000, I think it happened in 2013 or 14.
Yeah.
That shit's still happening in current day now. I just don't feel like people will be responsible enough to their stuntman to make sure that they're not killing people at the expense of winning a fucking gold trophy. That being said, the Stunt Union, I believe, had their own awards, which I support because they acknowledge themselves. That used to be on Spike TV. They had the Stunt Awards, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Yeah, it was a big part of the movie Double Dare. Has anyone ever seen Double Dare? It's this movie about I can't remember. Again, I'm fucking blanking on names here, but it's about the woman who was the stunt double for Wonder Woman in the 70s Wonder Woman show, and the chick that Quentin Tarantino loves.
Uma Thurman?
The stunt woman.
Zoe Bell.
Zoe Bell. So it's about this older stunt woman and a young up and coming stunt woman, Zoe Bell. So it's a movie about that, and they go to the awards and stuff, and it's a good movie.
You know what? I have heard of that. It was on the special features for Death Proof.
Oh, was it?
They talk about Zoe Bell. Like, the big moment in that movie is she gets the call, she's going to double for Uma Thurman and Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's
I do know what you're talking
she moves from New Zealand. So yeah, and there's a whole scene in that movie where they're putting together I think either the first stunt awards or one of them, and she's like, you know, like the woman wants to recognize women who do stunts, and the guy's like, well, we're not going to lower the standards for women, and you know all this sexist shit, and she's like, no, we should just do what the Academy Awards do, where there's like best male stunt, best female stunt, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't want to see people. I mean, I love movies. Clearly, we all love movies. We're making this fucking podcast, you know, spending our lovely Saturday, sunny Los Angeles afternoon indoors talking about obscure movies from the 80s.
I do want to note it is Pride Week this week. There is traffic everywhere.
Yeah. Well, no, you know,
Yeah, then we're better off being in here.
sure. But that being said, you know, no movie's worth someone's life purposefully.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But I would say that, not to completely disagree with you, because I think that you have a good point,
But to completely disagree with me, go
But
ahead.
to completely disagree with what you're just saying is that I think some directors, you know, they would even put their actors, not their stunt people, risk their lives to get just for the sake of art and performances.
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally.
But then, you know, it's still an award.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris Nolan did that on. He was very proud of they they shot in like Iceland or something, or like the Netherlands to get the shot in Interstellar that was on the planet that's all waves or whatever.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Interstellar. And
I've already seen that movie.
who knows who's listening to this?
Some 6-year-old kid from
2039.
But you know what? Watch movies, kid.
Yeah, watch them.
get off your ass and start watching movies. Does make any sense?
So
'Cause you-
it's like Anne Hathaway almost got like hypothermia. You know what I mean? So in Hollywood, there's this tough guy attitude of like, we don't need to eat, we don't need to whatever, and we're gonna push our crews hard, and we're gonna, just do it, and we're not pussies and shit. And I think that is still a major problem. You know what I mean? I just don't think
The James Camerons of the world who really just push, for their artistic vision, push people to the limit. The Eli Crosses of the movie world, which you're gonna see in Stuntman, he pushes his people to the death-defying limit.
right.
yeah.
But in terms of, I do want to say, in terms of stunt crews, from all the special features I've watched and things I've read, some of the safest people, people most concerned about safety, are those individual stunt teams.
Yeah,
They'll do whatever you need, but it better be safe first.
Right.
They'll make it look real, but they need to ensure that their people will be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, what I like to see when you talk about stunt people is there's two different kinds. There's the people who perform the stunts, second unit, whatever, and then there's stunt men who are actual characters and actors in a movie who play a part and are doing the stunts in that first unit, which I think...
Like Tony Jaa,
Who's that?
The Taiwanese action star.
he's like Jackie Chan, where he does all of his own stunts, but
And then Ong Bak is his big breakout
also
series.
Umbach, I believe The Protector is another one.
Protector, yep.
Both those movies, fantastic.
But I think that they deserve more recognition than they get because they're acting and they're doing the stunts. They got balance both.
Yeah.
But I think I just want to give a shout out to that. I'm not sure if the guy in Raiders, the big tough guy who was beating the shit out of Harrison Ford in front of the flying wing, if he was Pat Roach is a stuntman and an actor as well. I wonder. Look that up.
We'll have to look that up.
But that is my little bit to throw out there.
All right, fair enough. This is a movie about making a movie in Hollywood. Is that a genre that you guys like, or?
I absolutely love when movies take movies under the microscope or magnifying glass and they analyze them. That self-referential humor, I think it's really great. I know it's borderlining on a little bit irritating with the whole the meta deal. Everyone say, "Oh, that's so meta." I don't really like that phrase.
What phrase would you prefer?
I think
Inside baseball?
what?
Inside baseball?
Inside baseball. I like that.
Are you not familiar with the term inside baseball?
No.
Moving on.
What is that?
It's inside base. It's like, when you're talking about something that is jargony, that is inside of a subculture, people will say that's speaking inside baseball.
I will call it self-referential. I'll call it breaking the fourth wall. Brechtian. That's the word.
Well, I don't know.
Brechtian?
Brechtian. That's the word.
Yep.
Things like that where you're coming out of the experience of the movie and you're making aware that this is a movie. So I really love that slant on movies. That's my take.
I think it can be done well. It can also be very smarmy, I think. And I don't like it when it's overly, again, winking, nudging.
Can you give an example of that?
Oh, I can think of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That was nothing
is
but.
exactly what I was going to say.
And
I think when done well, a movie I believe we're doing in the future, The Player.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's a good takedown of Hollywood, takedown of the system.
Because there's a difference between satirizing the system and there's just we're just gonna make fun and blah blah blah, and then there's
It's like a movie that only movie people can get, and it's very self-serving and just doesn't really add anything, in my opinion. So.
I would say that I feel like every time we ask this question, or every time I ask this question, I'm always like, yeah, that's not really a thing that I like. But then I made this big list of movies that when we play What This Movie, and I'm like, the majority of these movies that I have seen, I do enjoy. So, and I listen to a lot of podcasts about making movies. I do like things about making movies. So self-referential, meta, inside baseball, I do like that. But I wouldn't consciously tell you that that's what I look for in a movie, but I think I do like that too.
it can be fun when you see it. You're like, oh, like a nod. It can be fun. Or when they're talking about things that you know about. If someone's using technical jargon in a movie, you're like, oh, I know all about that. You know,
Especially if you've worked on a movie set
exactly
before.
things like that. I'm like, I know what you're talking about. Or when I don't know if you guys have ever seen Dark Place, the BBC or as a Channel 4 show. It only lasted for one season, but they use intentional continuity errors and intentionally bad tropes of bad TV from the 80s to make a silly parody show.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
If you're looking for a good laugh, go on. I think it's probably on YouTube. You can watch all the episodes. It's only 6 episodes since it's a British show and they only do 6 episodes of one thing. But Dark Place, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Alright.
Look it up.
All right, at this point, I'll open the floor to any questions you guys have for me.
I don't care about you.
Wait,
Kept getting defensive. We're gonna put this guy down for a nap. Matt, any questions?
No, what?
Moving on. So we're gonna play what this movie. The theme of the movie, what this movie is, movie making. So if you've seen it, tell me what you think about it. If you haven't seen it, just say I haven't seen it. Or if you're Matt, tell me it's shitty if you haven't seen it. All right. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start right now.
Go.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Argo.
I enjoyed it. Not to go out of order.
Felt like it was Oscar bait. Did not enjoy it.
I liked it. Tropic Thunder.
Great.
Nah, I'm not a big fan.
Never saw it. All right, we all got one.
All right.
Tropic Thunder, I think, is hilarious.
Call back to episode 1. Starry Eyes.
You already know
Enjoy.
my answer.
We got detailed answers on that.
Well, but for the sake of the game,
yes, I enjoyed it.
No.
loved it. Singing in the Rain.
Love it.
Love it.
Great.
Love it.
Great movie.
Love it.
Gotta have it. Double Dare. You guys didn't see that, right?
Never
No,
saw it.
never saw it.
I'd recommend it. I'd recommend just it's a cool documentary on stunts and
I'll
shit.
check it out.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Gross. No.
No.
I liked it. I saw it when it first came out. I haven't seen it since, but I did
Revisit
like
it,
it.
you'll be like, ooh.
The Player.
Yes.
Great.
Never saw it.
Definitely.
Hooper.
Haven't seen it.
Never seen it.
Never seen it. Sorry, Bert. Not that you're gonna be, whatever. You're fine.
He's got his smoking the bandit money. He's fine.
Get Shorty.
Haven't seen
Never
it.
seen it.
Whoa, that's a great movie. That's Travolta.
It's
That's
one
some
of
good Travolta. You know
All
what I
those
mean?
popular movies just slipped through the cracks for me. Have not watched it.
I don't know. I saw it in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. I don't know if it's held up now, but it was good at the time. The sequel, Be Cool, is no good.
All right.
I was nodding my head no. Guys. Hitchcock.
It was okay.
I never saw it.
I think that movie was not good.
It was okay.
I was very frustrated with that movie. Hugo.
Never saw it.
Oh, hated Hugo. I hated that movie
I never saw it either.
so much. And I love Martin Scorsese. I want to smack him after that movie.
Be Kind, Rewind.
Good concept, poor execution.
I enjoyed it.
I never saw it. Shadow of the Vampire.
I just could not get into that movie. I watched it and it did nothing for me.
Yeah, they can sell the first 5 minutes and I fell asleep.
I watched
So I've
it
never seen it.
on VHS when it came out on VHS, and it was one of those movies as a kid you're like, damn, that was deep. I don't know what happened. So I need to revisit that one. The Aviator.
Did not like it.
What?
Only saw maybe 40 minutes of it.
I only saw about 5 minutes of it when our girlfriends were watching it the other day. But from what I saw, I did like. So interesting stuff there. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Didn't see it.
Never saw it.
Great. I think it's great. Not great that you guys didn't see it. You guys should see it.
Understood.
Adaptation.
Like it a lot.
Never saw it.
Great. Boogie Nights.
Oh, my number 2 favorite movie of all time.
Whoa!
Love Boogie
Calling
Nights. Love Boogie Nights.
It was good. I liked it.
We should do an episode that's like our top 10 movies of all time.
Oh boy.
I do like it, but man, that's a hard watch sometimes.
Oh,
Boogie Nights.
I could watch it any day.
Speaking of watching it any day, Blair Witch Project.
No, never.
Haven't seen it.
What?
I never saw Blair Witch Project.
I would just stay away from that one.
I saw it when it first came out, and I think I saw it in the theater, which is at the pinnacle of its strength, and I have never seen it since. So I wonder how it holds up.
Actually, I haven't never seen it since 1999. So,
Yeah, 99 in the theater.
but no, I think I saw it on DVD.
Oh, did it come out before that? Who cares? Super 8.
No.
Enjoyed parts of it. Didn't work as a whole, but I think it had good moments.
I love that movie, dude. I think that movie is fan-fucking-tastic.
I think the best part is over the credits when they actually show the movie.
Yes, the zombie movie they're making. Yep. Oh man. Also, it's one of those movies that when you watch, you're like, I wish I was those kids.
The
You know
only
what I
good
mean?
part of the movie was the little chubby kid, because he actually had confidence in acting.
Yeah.
The rest of the kids just like, get these kids out of here. You know how I feel about kid actors, but get those kids the fuck out of there.
The Artist.
Oh, I've never seen it all the way through.
Hated that movie.
Never saw it. King Kong.
Which one?
Any of them. They're all about making a movie on Kong Island.
33 Kong, great. 70s Kong, terrible. Peter Jackson's Kong, I like it.
33 Kong is good. Never saw 77. 2005 Kong. What garbage.
33. My favorite movie as a child. Still love it today. 77. Hopelessly mediocre. 2000. What was it?
Five?
Fuck that movie. We gotta do that movie for the podcast because there is a thick line in the sand.
I'll defend that movie. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Mulholland Drive.
Great, love it.
That was alright.
I like that movie.
I just want to note the first time I watched it, I was really tired, and the garbage dude came out.
Oh my god, that garbage dude.
I was kind of like half asleep, like half dreaming, half watching the movie. That scared the fuck out of me. I had to turn it off and watch it when I was wide awake.
I had to watch a movie for college class, and I remember
Yeah, me too. I was watching it in college.
the dread of the anticipation of that garbage monster is so high. That's one of the scariest scenes in I think all of cinema. Also, is Inland Empire also about making movies?
I believe so, but I have not seen it.
Matt,
I've never seen it.
never saw it. Ed Wood,
Great.
Great. Love it.
Tim Burton's best film.
never seen it. Barton Fink,
Good.
That's good.
never saw it. Gods and Monsters,
Never saw it.
Never saw it.
never saw it. Purple Rose of Cairo.
Never saw it. Not a big fan of Woody Allen.
Seen it. I think it is his best. No, I won't say it's his best. It's my favorite of his movies.
Interesting. Never seen it. The Player.
Did we ever do that one?
Oh, we did?
Yeah,
Skip
we
it.
said play.
Sunset Boulevard.
Great.
Great.
Great. Love that movie.
Yes.
Norma Desmond. Shit.
She is freaky deaky and she needs some work.
8.5.
Oh, great.
Very great.
Never saw it. Day for Night.
Very great. I love that movie.
I don't know if I've even heard of that. What is Day for Night?
It's a movie about me.
It's,
I don't know. I never heard of it either.
Interestingly enough, that was Francois Truffaut's movie he made about movies in 1973, won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Feature. So I can see why Truffaut was interested in directing
The Stuntman.
The Stuntman, because Truffaut just loves movies to death. So
So he did make that film. Was Contempt his movie, or is that Go Dark?
that was good.
Okay, never mind.
Also, Richard Rush does accuse Truffaut of making Day for Night in the documentary about this movie. About after walking away from Stuntman, that's what he made to scratch that itch. Accusations.
All right.
And then there's a bunch of movies about stuntmen. There's Stuntman Pacific that came out in between 1970 when they started trying to make Stuntman in 1980 when it actually came out, which they're all like stunt rock and stunts, and I'm sure none of us have fucking seen those movies. But I kind of want to see them, but I know I never will.
I had the pleasure of working with a legendary stuntman on the ward. His name was John Casino. He was a
Also, I need to take a moment here to pause. Can we just talk about how awesome stuntmen names are? Do you know what Harrison Ford's stuntman's name is?
What?
Vic Armstrong.
Oh shit.
With a name like that, you have two careers: you're stuntman or like a bodyguard.
Yep. Or you're in a band with T-Bone Burnett. But yeah, John Casino, great guy, great stuntman. He had a great story about. He was in a movie. It was called like Biker Bitches or something like that. And
I believe that name.
he was a stuntman for a woman in the movie.
Right.
And he ended up going to the hospital with his like leather jacket that said, I believe it said Psycho Slut.
What is this movie? My word.
It's some kind of like exploitation biker chick movie, but yeah, I just found that very funny. He had to go to the hospital, and yeah, he was in his full like chick garb, and yeah, his leather jacket that I'm pretty sure he said Psycho Slut on it, and yeah, John Casino, great dude.
Oh, it's amazing. Love that. I mean, that's all I got for the intro to this movie. We're gonna go ahead and watch it. I'll probably watch it on Hulu.
I'm excited to see what you guys think.
Yeah, it can be the Hulu business. It seems interesting. If a movie about movies is always interesting to watch, so we will see.
But I think it's about more than that too.
But it's always
Then I don't want to watch it.
but it's fun when you have that backdrop.
That's kind of the intro into it. But yeah, it's about war. It's about a lot of things.
It's about life, loving and living.
And Peter O'Toole at his swarthiest. He is so swarthy in this movie. You could pour it on pancakes.
I
Swarthy.
getting hungry just thinking about it.
All right. On that note,
Here we go. Oh my god.
all right, we're back. Stuntman.
Stuntman.
Seen it. Kev, where'd you see it?
I watched my Blu-ray copy. I watched it 2 times. Once normal, once with the commentary.
Oh, okay. The game is afoot. Matt,
Hulu Plus.
Hulu Plus is for
Last
me as
night.
well. Last night being Friday, June 19th.
Correct.
Yeah, with a glass of Bacardi and lemonade.
I watched it with a big bowl of popcorn.
Biggest mistake of my life.
Wait, what'd you do with
Bacardi and lemonade, huh?
It was terrible. I thought it would be interesting to mix.
It's not, I
What-
mean, on paper, I guess.
What
right?
color Bacardi?
oh, white.
Okay,
If it was
that makes sense. If it was
Spi-
brown,
Spice would have been rough, but
yeah.
not to get off topic here. But
Welcome back to Talking Bacardi Talk with Matt.
that Oakard Bacardi. Wow.
Captain Morgan.
Booze things I don't know anything about. So Matt, I see that you got some notes here.
I did take notes for this movie.
Did you take notes?
Not
I
unlike
got notes. I got notes.
I got notes as well. Also, eating popcorn, taking notes, trying to watch a movie, very difficult. Took me a real long time to get through this fucking
Very.
thing.
You probably have some greasy notes then.
They're pretty greasy. They're pretty greasy.
was some Pop Secret on there.
Does anyone want to try to summarize this fucking thing, or?
I'll do it.
Yeah, you go for it.
This again, basic plot summary. So we start with the dog licking its balls.
Yeah. Also, I mean,
Good open to that.
I'll save this for nitpicks or maybe cool things, but I really can say I've seen it all in movies now. I've seen a movie that opens with a dog licking its balls. Go ahead.
Indeed, you have. So,
All that peanut butter.
basic plot of the film: we have a guy named Cameron, who is a Vietnam veteran on the run from the law, stumbles upon a movie set run by a maniacal director named Eli Cross, played by Peter O'Toole. During a stunt that goes wrong, where the stuntman dies, Peter O'Toole, I'll use the character names, Eli Cross, comes across Cameron, disguises him as the stuntman who died, and gives him a haven to hide from the police while he makes this movie about World War One. And reality is thrown into whack for Cameron, and as he goes through the process of making this film with a maniacal director.
Yeah, that's a good way of summarizing that. First question. When Cameron gets, in the beginning of the movie, Cameron is being chased by the cops. He tries to play a pinball machine, and there's a lot of bumping. Like, people play pinball, but they like.
Oh yeah, the
Dry
guy.
hump-
The
what-
guy
what
was
is
guy was
thruster?
literally fucking that
Is
pinball
it-
machine.
what is the point of that? What does that get you in pinball when you?
A tilt?
Which is not good.
I don't understand what's happening right now.
A tilt is when there's I believe an error in the pinball machine when if you like shake it or move it too much. It says tilt.
Yeah, I don't.
Anyway.
Me and Matt grew up going to an arcade called Tilt, and now I understand why it was called Tilt.
You never knew.
Just
that,
school
huh?
again.
I just like it's called Tilt. It's a place called Tilt. Like, why is anything? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Why do they call it the Bay Area? Just called that. It has a bay. Interesting. That has nothing to do with it.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So what'd you guys think?
I really like this movie. Why I picked it?
Right. And you did pick it, correct?
I did pick it for the podcast.
You still, between the first half and the second half, you've still picked this
I
movie.
did.
Okay.
No phantom picking going on.
Yeah, we didn't go back in time and rewrite that.
I
Go
just
ahead.
think this is a very unique film. I've never seen anything like it before. It's very alive. It has a really unique story. It's got great performances. And I just think as I talked about in the first half, I feel a lot of people don't know about it. This movie, when we watched it in my film class, was very polarizing. So, I am very curious to hear what you two thought of it.
Okay. Well, I did not love
Before you
it.
start, no. Go ahead.
You're not going to get the drop on me. I did not love it, nor did I hate it. I felt it was very pedestrian, very run-of-the-mill. It had good elements in it, but I don't think, as a whole, it really struck me as being, like, amazing. You know, the storyline seemed very, very linear, and when I was hearing Kevin talk about the movie, I was expecting some crazy kooky shit, and crazy kooky shit does happen, but it didn't really strike me as being too terribly amazing. So that was my thought about it.
I thought it was a very good movie. I wouldn't say I loved it. I would say it's in the pantheon of, like, good movies. I did watch the documentary that was on your Blu-ray before we did this podcast. So I, like Matt, thought it would be, like, really crazy. And I don't think that really nothing happened in this movie that can't really be explained with, oh, those people are just kind of weird actory production people, right? There's nothing that's, like, so crazy that couldn't be explained. Except for, there's one thing that I'll get to in a minute that I'm like, well, that's kind of movie magic kind of shit. But, like, there's nothing that's really happened in this movie I feel like that can't really be explained. I mean, does anyone want to give me an instance of something that's, like, surreal in a way that couldn't be explained?
Oh, I would say half this movie is super surreal. I was watching this movie, and they're not showing you the stunts that are happening for some parts of the movie. The guy gets hit with the bayonet and his cheek is bleeding. You don't see him put on the makeup to do it. It
right.
happens in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of blurred reality in this, which was
But
pretty
then later,
jarring, but it was interesting, but it was also jarring.
But then later, so the guy gets hit with a bayonet, or the butt of a gun, really. His cheek it looks like it has a cut on it. They finish the scene, and then someone comes up to him and peels it off. So it's as if when he got hit by it, the butt of the gun just caught. It's unexplainable, right? The guy gets hit with the butt of a gun, it cuts him, but then later someone just peels that off as if it didn't happen.
And I think, if memory serves me, there was a jump cut when he got hit with it. So I think, I don't know if the filmmaker is trying to imply that the stunt happens to him, this thing, and then it looks jarring because it's a jump cut, but then that would explain why he's able to peel it off and it's really nothing. You'd think was this part of the movie? Is this part of reality? It just really just messes with your brain.
Yeah, it messes. Are we inside Eli's movie or are we in the real world? Like it does that throughout the entire story. You know, it's like it just shows how, like, Eli just gets in his head, and, you know, he falls through the window, and he's in a whorehouse, you know, and he's surrounded by naked people, and they all carry him off. But then it's like it takes a minute to realize he's on a movie set, and then we have the moment where they rip the scar off, and it just very keeps you off balance the entire film.
And it sets the tone in the very beginning where you get a POV shot from Eli when he's in the helicopter. So it makes very much sense that everything you're seeing is how he...
And he's constantly above everyone, either in a helicopter or in his techno crane.
Oh, God, that thing was goofy as shit. This little auto gyro.
Wait. We'll get to that in a second. I
do want, while we're on that point, Eli's opening line kind of summarizes the movie when they talk about, whoa, we almost hit that buzzard, and he says, don't you think of the buzzard's perspective? And it's, you know, the movie opens. That was a great Peter O'Toole impression, by the way.
It was.
I would have thought he came
I was
beyond
looking,
the grave.
You guys couldn't see it. I was looking down to take some notes. I was like, what? Is Peter O'Toole here? What the fuck?
Just walked in the door.
Rose from the dead walked to the door, delivered this line, went back
tasteless
to the
jokes. That's what you
afterlife.
get on this show. Go ahead.
American Treasure, Peter O'Toole.
British.
Okay.
But yeah, that line gives you the notion in your head of, like, we're going to be looking at this through a lot of different perspectives, and we're going to be messing with it.
Say that again?
So he talks about...
Oh, with the buzzard. With
the buzzer.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
that's...
No, I mean, I get that. I get that, but I think that there's a... it is surreal, but everything can be explained in the sense that you're not getting an objective. You're getting the objective. You're not getting an objective truth. You're getting a subjective truth from a guy who to me clearly has PTSD.
Yes.
So he's kind of his memory of or his perception of what's going on is very blended together, right? Where he's thinking about the action scene. And he's not thinking about all the times they stopped and cut. He's just thinking about it's presented to you in a way that is continuous. Although I feel like after the first couple surreal things happen, you just know that they'll just show you everything that happened in terms of the end result, and then you know that things are missing in between. So there'll be a scene where he's doing a bunch of stunts and people are falling and people are chasing him, and it's like you know that they don't have that many extras or that many stuntmen, so you know that they have to be recycling some of these dudes. So it's like he throws like a guy off a building, and then he continues to run, and then he falls down in this gutter, and then you know what I mean. You know that these are all separate takes, but that's like the amalgamation of the movie. So I feel like everything that's happening that's surreal is a result of movie magic. I don't think anything surreal really happens that's not in the context of them shooting. Would you say, or no?
I agree. You can explain it with, this is just the movie being made in the moment, but
Right.
But you don't see the in-between stuff, and I think that's, and this whole movie is subjective. It's all from Cameron's point of view.
Right.
Save for the opening shot with Eli looking at his apple. Like, that's the only time we get it from his point of view.
Well, the thing is, the first surreal moment is they're shooting a battle on the beach, and
There's a crowd watching.
There's a crowd watching, and then a bunch of explosions happen, a bunch of flyovers happen, they shoot a bunch of stuff, and then a bunch of smoke comes on. There's an explosion happens, there's a bunch of smoke, and then all of a sudden, there's all the soldiers are on the ground. They all have limbs blown off and heads blown off, and they're all holding their guts and dead. And then it's revealed that that's just part of the scene, and everyone on the beach panics, and it's revealed it's part of the scene. And it's like, well, that can't have happened in that way, right? Setting up all of those effects would have taken hours, right? You have hours of makeup, hours of whatever, lighting and stuff. So you know that those are two separate shots separated with no edit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, so when we see stuff, when they're shooting things, they'll show you the way it will look when it's done, not the way it actually is. So it's like, this movie is playing and as a movie that's about making a movie, it's paying homage to movie magic by showing the making of the movie in a way that is fully edited. Something that took some of the balls out of the movie, you know what I mean? Or some of the mystery. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that adds to the mystery, though, in it.
Well, but every time they're shooting, some weird shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Because you're getting it from a person who's mentally disturbed.
Right, so then you know that anything that happens while they're shooting has no stakes, but...
Nobody ever gets killed on this set, except for the first Stuntman.
Right.
But, you're saying, nowhere else in the movie does anything really that surreal or terrible happen, and it happens in real life.
Right, and we're kind of jumping ahead, but when he admits to the crime that he's being chased for, that's a surreal-ish scene because it's very bizarre, but it kind of makes sense in terms of the characters that we've set up, right? He's emotionally unhinged. She's like this very, like emotional actress, you know what I mean? So she's like, he's freaking out, and she's used to people with tempers. They're used to this life on sets where people are threatening each other and yelling at each other and really pushing the limits. So she's not really afraid of him when he's going nuts. You know what I mean? Like he's going out of his mind telling the story, and he's like,
"Oh, the ice cream story?
The ice cream
What
story.
flavors of ice cream?
That, oh my god, that was like, what in the fuck is happening? This guy's talking about ice cream and he'd kill it with an ice, like what?
He didn't kill it, but that story made sense.
Well, he attempted.
He knocked out.
But it was so goddamn silly and over the top. I could not keep a straight face on. Like, what is happening?
Before or after they were covered in paint?
During. I think
God.
I think I interpreted this movie a lot more normally than you guys did. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, just whatever, surreal shit, good. And I think you were much more. I'm pointing to Matt here. This is me pointing right now.
That's me.
I think you were more like, what the, like shocked by things.
I was. There was a lot of things that were jarring in this movie, and you're not sure whose perspective you're getting it from. Now that I look back, I'm thinking that most of this takes place from Cameron's perspective and his PTSD or shell shock. I'm called shell shock.
Okay.
Not using that PC term, folks.
I don't think PTSD is a PC term.
Oh yeah, it is.
Save for the PTSD or
That's back to our political podcast.
okay. Well,
Serious political jibber jabber.
Anyways, what are we talking about?
You were talking about shell shock or something.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you get the perspective that he's shell shocked. He's been through some shit, and you get the perspective from him.
I think the things that were more confusing to me in this movie was like, like so he's flirting with the main. What's the main actress's chick name?
Barbara Hershey. I don't know her character name. But
Nina.
He's Cameron's flirting with Nina, and he takes her up the tower because he's about to do his first stunt the next day, where he jumps. He is a chase on a rooftop, and he's like, and she's very disgusted by this when they get up there. She's like, this is weird. This is gross. Like, you shouldn't risk your life. But then later, when they have the first sex scene, she's very aroused by his stunt work. So there's an inconsistency to that character in some scenes. Like when they come down from the tower, she gives a very emotional. She yells at the director in front of everyone, and is very like emotionally spent. She's about to cry, and then all of the crew starts clapping, and we know that it's a gag on the director. And then you know what I'm saying. So I think Nina is the character that is the most mysterious in terms of what's going on.
Yeah, I don't get a lot from her. The emotions change, and you're not sure. Is she into this? Is she repulsed?
But I figured
signals.
that's Cameron's insecurity of not understanding where she's coming from.
I don't want this to be a cop-out answer that anything that can be a
Listen,
fault,
just like in Harry Potter, when everything is there's no such thing as a plot hole in Harry Potter. It's because it's magic. Why did the dragon not magic? In this movie, all the plot holes can be just completely whitewashed with Cameron has PTSD or shell shock, if you will, and he doesn't get what's going on. No? Cop-out answer?
I don't want it to turn to a cop-out answer. That was what I was driving at.
Is that a cop-out answer, what I just said?
No, but...
Then moving on!
Well, I think that...
Also, Kev, why are you so fucking silent all of a sudden?
I'm just saying, you guys. This is why I like this movie. It gets people riled up. It ruffles feathers.
If you
Dogs lick balls. It's amazing.
Dogs are licking balls.
If you look at my notes for all the
Buzzards,
movies that I've
apples.
done, you'll notice that the ones that I kind of are pedestrian, don't have much, but the ones that I are very polarized about, such as Starry Eyes, are very long, 2 pages, whereas Alien 3 is only 1 page, half a page. Last Action Hero, half a page. This one, page and a half, page and a quarter, page.
I'm sorry. Is a page and a quarter a lot of notes or a few notes?
He's got a
if I go a
big
page, that's a lot of notes.
All right.
If I go half a page, that's not many notes.
This is college ruled paper. We're talking about
So
here.
there's a lot to say about this. So that's a good indicator. There's a lot to talk about. It's a very polarizing movie.
All right. Well, I want to put over an element of the movie where the universe, and part of this is the surrealism, but the universe feels very big, and I'm sure I've said that in every fucking episode of this podcast so far. And I will continue to compare every movie to Star Wars, where it feels like a big universe. There's a scene where he fights with Nina. Cameron fights with Nina. Oddly, in front of the writer, where she's like, "What are you doing in this room, writer?"
Very awkward.
Anyways, but then his knee is taped up, and he goes into the bathroom and he gets more gauze and he's gonna retape up his knee. And there's an interesting thing going on there where it's like we didn't explain that he hurt his knee. It's just he's a stuntman now and he's a new stuntman, so he hurt his knee. Which I like that. I like that things are happening in this movie. It alludes, and that's just one prime example, but it alludes to things are happening in this movie more than what we are seeing. You know what I mean? Like we're not seeing the whole story, and the movie's admitting that. I like that. I thought that was a good world building kind of exercise. Anything else you want to talk about here, Matt?
I got a few things to talk about. One thing is I love watching movies about movies. It's always fun to see the inner workings of it, the drama. You can do a lot with it. With satire, you can do a love letter to movies like Day for Night or The Player, which is essentially just a big old satire. But it was so mean-spirited and cynical, this movie, and that I don't like that part.
just a little bit, right?
Was it? I didn't think it was super cynical.
I felt it was very mean-spirited, and no one is having fun.
I'll let you finish your point, but come back to that.
But I think that they could have had a lot more fun with it, but there was no redeeming quality to the using the device of a movie within a movie. I felt that when I see a movie that deals with movies, I want there to be a little bit of fun. I want there to be some redeeming quality. But this just had absolutely none.
I think this movie's fun.
Yeah, I think there's lots of jokes in this movie. There's funny elements. There's really good action stuff. And I mean, the end of this movie is very. Can we just jump to the ending here?
Yeah, sure.
The end of the movie is very like. I don't know. I mean, it's very. It's not a negative. It's not a downer ending. It's an odd ending because Cameron ends the movie very upset, but for seemingly no reason. But it's not a downer. It's not a. I don't know. I don't know if it's a mean-spirited movie. How is it a mean-spirited movie?
Because you have a very devilish director. There's no, the reason why he's painted as a devil on the front cover of the movie.
If you haven't seen the movie poster, which they got designed by, I believe, an artist in Seattle, but I'm not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a devil with a Peter O'Toole face behind a camera. I want to get that framed. It's a great picture. But yeah,
but that's a poster. I mean, in the movie, is he really? Okay, we're tiptoeing around this shit. So the movie is about. So as the movie goes on, it's hinted at and then eventually confronted with the idea that Cameron thinks that Peter O'Toole's character, Eli Cross, is trying to get a death on film for his movie. And he thinks in the beginning of the movie, he is trying to hitchhike after he escapes from the cops. What we find out later to be a stuntman in an old Duesenberg stops on the bridge to not pick him up, but just to line up the shot. He gets in the car. The guy he gets kicked out of the car. Cameron gets kicked out of the car because he was not supposed to get into it to begin with. The stuntman barrels down the bridge, and his intention is to drive off of it. Cameron throws a tire iron at the car and cracks the windshield, and the car goes off the edge, and the stuntman is supposedly killed. Later, we see footage of this. It looks like the guy, he's doing okay at first, but then freaks out, and then the film cuts out and dies. Later, we find out that the camera operator saw him in trouble and started freaking out, and Peter O'Toole got really mad when he cut the film. And at the end, Cameron thinks that Peter O'Toole is trying to kill him, Eli Cross. He wants to run away in the end of the movie so he wants to just keep driving over the bridge and just drive it all the fucking way out of town and just get away from everyone. They blow out his front tire, and he is forced to do the stunt by no means of his own, escapes from the car, and then, what is your interpretation of that ending? That he was never a target of this thing? That Peter O'Toole did not want a death on screen, or that he did want a death on screen? Because Peter O'Toole, after Cameron crashes and escapes and is alive, is not disappointed. He's happy. He says, "Great job, you did really good."
And you're only getting $600.
And you're only getting not $1,000. Although I do not remember a scene where he was ever promised $1,000. There's a scene where he's promised $600 for every stunt he does. So that was what are you talking about? $1,000, Cameron?
Hard to say.
Also, what's going on over here, fucking Kev? Waiting on this movie, goddamn you.
Let me think.
What do you think? Is Eli trying to kill Cameron or no?
I think he just wants to get the shot. I think I don't know if he intentionally wants to kill him. It just seems like he wants to have an amazing shot that you can't.
Right.
He wants to make the best movie possible.
I don't, and if he dies in the process, whatever. You're a convict.
Well, that's the thing is that that's the thing is that right before they shoot the Duesenberg scene with Cameron in it, he says, "We only have one Duesenberg. At the end of the shot, the car should be ruined. So no one cut under any circumstance because we only have one shot at this." So basically what he's saying is, I interpret that as, I don't want anyone to die, but if someone dies, we still need this shot. We can't just stop shooting whatever. I don't think that's a correct, in terms of how to live life, I don't think that's a correct way to think. But I don't think that I don't think that the character of Eli Cross wants someone to die. I think he just wants to get all the thoughts of his movie so he can put the movie together the way he wants to do it. There's two scenes in this movie where they don't get a shot that they want. One is when the first stuntman goes over the bridge and dies, and the camera cuts out, and he chokes a dude. He chokes a bitch. And then the second shot is they're shooting a scene where a tank goes through a wall, and they're just shooting, and the tank continues to just bust through all of these coffee shops and things, and Cameron's running away, and they cut it with 33 feet of film, which in the movie they say is about 20 seconds. So Eli gets super pissed off when he says, "I wanted that 20 seconds. We can't get that 20 seconds back. We could have just let the camera run out of film and then have cut. That would have been our cut, but instead we lost the 20 seconds. So I think embedded in the movie is evidence that he doesn't want people to die. He just wants to get his shots. Mm-hmm. So I think, and in the end of the movie, he says, the reason I cast you in this movie as a stuntman is because you have the thing that we're really talking about in this movie, which is paranoia. And because Cameron is a paranoid Cameron is a paranoid person because he is a Vietnam vet. And they're doing an anti-war movie. And he doesn't think that anyone else who acts in this movie has that shit. He didn't think about that about Bert, the stuntman who died, and he didn't think about that about the main actor who is not even in the movie at all, who is the guy that Cameron is doubling for.
Yeah, we never see him act in any scene that they're shooting.
Which is, I thought was a very
He's
interesting
always
choice.
in the background.
Yeah.
With that wig on.
With that shitty wig.
Yeah, he turns him into Cameron. He doesn't try to turn Cameron into the guy.
Although there's one scene...
I take that back. They dye his hair, they shave him.
Yeah, that's true.
Never mind.
There's a scene where they're shooting the insane asylum scene that eventually gets cut, and he starts choking the makeup girl in the background, and I had to rewind it. And I'm like, what the? And then they laugh it off like it's no big deal, and I'm like, that's the fucking craziest thing I ever saw. Like, I've never seen someone unprovokingly choke someone and then have everyone just think it's funny, including the person who got choked.
It's a weird set, an Eli Cross set.
Yeah, very weird.
Did no one have anything to say about this movie? Was this a bad choice or what?
I was looking over my notes. I mean, I've already expressed my main points.
I feel like I've been talking for like 20 minutes already.
I just love that this movie's so confounding.
I don't think it's that confounding. I think it's the movie's, I think, actually very simple. Cameron is cast because he's a paranoid person. Eli sees that in him immediately. He needs that for his anti-war movie because that's what he says that in the dinner scene. We're not really talking about war. We're making an anti-war movie because it's about something that haunts everyone, which is the paranoia against your fellow man. So he leverages that to get stunts out of him or something. And then in the end, yeah, it's all in Cameron's head. And Cameron, yeah, he thinks he's being betrayed by the main actress because she's gonna run away with him, and then she tells him after he crashes the car and he thinks that she's in the trunk and he sees her up on the bridge. She's like, "Yeah, they found me 5 minutes afterwards. Do you think they wouldn't check the car? What do we think? They wouldn't check the car right before we were gonna throw it off a bridge? Of course they checked the car for me to be stowaway in it. You know what I mean? They would check it for any reason. So yeah, I think it's kind of a simple movie. It's a fugitive who is a little bit loose mentally, sees an enemy and a god in someone who is just powerful.
Eli has a hand in everybody's life, and he pays no repercussions for it in the movie.
Yes, he does do some fucked up shit. Like he shows the
very fucked up shit.
He shows the main. I think the most fucked up thing he does, other than obviously creating a scenario where a stuntman is killed. Right, I mean that's bad. But in terms of but that's not malicious. He didn't. That was not, in my opinion, that's not his intention. The worst intended thing that he did was he showed the parents of the main actress a nude scene that she was in, and then and he wants her to feel shame, so he tells her about it, and then he's like, yeah, and then give me some shame. And then she's betrayed by him.
And then rolls film.
Yeah. I do like how the spray down person.
Yeah,
that was a good touch. Yeah. It was like at first I was like, oh, this is fucked up. And then that made me laugh. Hey, gotta spray down the talent before doing a steamy scene with a little spritzer bottle. Uncomfortable job, by the way.
Nah, it'd probably be all right.
A little fluffer.
You're not sucking anyone's.
We didn't see that.
You're too much.
I love Peter O'Toole in this film. I love his character. I love the crane that he flies around on. Peter O'Toole.
Oh my god, that crane was so
yeah,
silly.
you didn't like that crane.
It was like an auto gyro, but with a little with a little basket.
What about that last shot when he comes down and he's like, beer, and he's like, comes like godlike into the scene. It's so funny.
So wacky. I liken Eli Cross as you take David Lean and you take Mick Jagger, and that's what you get.
I mean, on the commentary, Peter O'Toole said he did base Eli Cross.
You see a lot of that. You see this proper, dignified.
Who's David Lean?
Director of Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Zhivago.
Just some
Quiet.
obscure, foreign movies got it.
We'll leave it as that, yes. And because you have this kind of English talent, very proper, dignified, and then you have also this very crazy weirdo type character. So very, very, very strange combination.
All right, so we're gonna get a nitpicks here, or does anyone actually have anything to say?
We've been talking.
I'm looking at you, Kev. I'm looking at you.
What?
I mean, I had a question. Was Eli Cross shooting second unit and first unit together, or was he just shooting? If he's the main director, why is he directing second unit when another person?
What scene are you talking about?
Because theoretically, he's shooting all of the stunt scenes. He's shooting all of the main action.
Yeah, some
separately.
Tour directors do that. You know what I mean? Like he didn't shoot the opening beach scene because he has to deal with the death of the. So there's the opening beach, the opening scene where they're shooting on the beach. That's all without him. Someone else is directing that. That's all second unit. But then every other shot he is directing. But that's not uncommon. I mean, Michael Bay does that. You know, a lot of big time directors shoot their own action scenes.
Christopher Nolan talks about he doesn't use the second unit.
Yeah,
always just wants his hand on.
But
everything.
is he shooting 2 units simultaneously?
For that one, the only time we know that he's doing that is the first beach scene. Everything else. It looks like he's shooting it himself.
Another question: is this a union picture? I want to know.
Do
you think there's a union back in this production?
Yeah, maybe.
Seems a little too loosey goosey.
People get people get loosey goosey with union rules. That's why, those unions exist.
But if someone died on set,
people die on sets.
They would shut that shit down.
Twilight movie didn't get not Twilight. Twilight Zone movie did not get shut down.
Got shut down for a day.
That's it.
Well, in this gray area of the tragedy of Twilight Zone movie, they were undocumented illegal children.
Yeah, and this movie got shut down for like a day, and then they finished it up.
But that had nothing to do with unions.
Yeah, they were breaking a bunch of acting union rules. You can have children on set.
But the kids weren't covered by the union.
Yeah, but that was against the rules. It's a union movie. That everyone who's acting in the movie needs to be union. It's still a studio movie. You have to.
But is this picture a studio movie?
Hold on. 2 things. One, the Twilight Zone movie was a union movie.
I'm not.
I'm talking Twilight Zone here.
Yeah, I get it. So we don't need to talk about it anymore.
Okay, so then moving on, probably, but maybe not. It doesn't. Probably not because they just added a stuntman who they found on the street. You know what I mean? I don't think. I do believe there's a stunt union. So, yeah, probably not. Probably not a stunt. Probably not a union movie.
Okay. Just curious. See what you thought.
Well, and again, we don't really explore it because Cameron never really explores that too. Like, we never even learn what this movie's about. Like, the movie they're shooting, we get this vague idea that it's a World War I movie, but Cameron is really, he just in this world and isn't really questioning it, and so we don't get a lot of the nitty gritty stuff because it's all from his point of view.
Right.
So, yeah, union, non-union, it's all shady dealings anyways when you're working with Eli Cross.
Right.
I think.
Also, a lot. If you think back to all the scenes that they shot for the movie, they do not add up to much, right? There's a chase scene on top of a hotel.
Shot a lot of stuff before.
Right. But there's a chase scene on top of the hotel. There's a tank chase through a city. There's a plane sequence where a plane crashes and then he runs to a different plane. They fly up and he does the Charleston. Right? Yeah. It's like they're not selling you on the idea that this is a cohesive movie. And then there's always a debate on whether what they're showing will be thought of as hilarious or serious.
Playing a lot of for a war movie, which is not a cheap budget. They are really wasting a lot of film on
garbage.
Or the guy with the guts coming out. It looked totally weird.
Mm-hmm.
And with the blow up thing of the condom or the balloon or whatever it is
on the guy's finger.
Like they're kind of wasting this guy's time and wasting a lot of money.
Yep.
On these little practical jokes.
Yep.
And he's just like, this is I can't do a Peter O'Toole, but in his voice he's like, this is funny. I'm looking at you, Kevin, do the Peter O'Toole.
This is funny.
There it is.
I don't know. This movie really casts a weird spell on me when I watch it. It's very kinetic. Like, the camera work's very kinetic and frantic. It's just, I've just never seen anything like it before.
The camera work is exceptional. I'll get to that when we talk about awesome things. Is there anything that happened on the commentary that is of any note?
Just how the actors loved the script and loved working with Richard Rush. Like, nobody had anything bad to say.
Who was on the commentary?
It was Richard Rush, the director, and these people weren't all in the same room. at the same
Oh,
time.
interesting.
Some were, I think, Richard Rush, the guy who plays Cameron, his name escapes me,
Forgettable McGee.
Barbara Hershey, and then the guy who plays the main, I think his name's Chuck Ball, who plays the main stunt guy who, like, trains him.
I loved him. He was probably my favorite part of the movie.
He's an actual stuntman, like in real life, and was cast in this film. And Peter O'Toole, who I think his was kind of cold from some interviews that were done years later, but he's on, his comments are very scene specific, so maybe it was his own commentary track. But yeah, they talked a lot about just, how much they loved working with Richard Rush, how much they loved the script, and, kind of all the different... They felt like they kind of lived the stuntman life, in a way. Like, similar to what Cameron goes through. Like, it was just kind of a really wild experience for everybody. But they all had good memories of it. So, yeah.
All right.
It wasn't the most enlightening commentary track overall, but they did have some good individual anecdotes. Let me see if I have some of my notes.
Akin to John Carpenter and Kurt Russell just getting drunk while watching The Thing.
Those are fantastic
Yeah,
commentary.
but they're basically like, this day was fun.
Yep. It was kind of like, I think the funniest one, Richard Rush was in charge of doing Peter O'Toole's hair.
Oh my god, there's a talking point about...
He would not let
boy.
anybody, not even the makeup people, touch Peter O'Toole's hair. That was strictly forbidden on that set.
I'm gonna say all around bad hair in this movie. I know it's gonna be a nitpick, but I think it's more than a nitpick. There's some straight up bad hair in this movie.
I don't disagree with that, but I chalk that up to 70s kind of shit. Because, like...
Even Barbara
all
Hershey,
their-
your leading lady, who's supposed to be kind of glamorous and attractive woman, like that light catches that hair in 100 different ways.
Also, shitty bell bottoms in this movie. I'll say that.
It was a time. You got to have those wide pant legs.
You didn't have to. That was a choice.
Are we ready for nitpicks?
I'm ready for nitpicks.
Do some nitpicks.
All right. Oh boy.
All right, I'm gonna kick it off here in 1 second.
Might need more than a minute.
Really?
Oh boy.
I only have 3, so I'm gonna get mine out of the way really quick.
I got a few.
Shitty bell bottoms. Don't like that. Dog licking balls. I've seen it all. Shitty slow motion at the end of the movie.
No. Oh, when he comes out of the water, I
When
saw that. I'm like,
he breaches the water like a whale, and it looks like dog shit. Fuck
I thought
that.
about you as soon as I watched it again. I was like, oh, we're gonna
And there's
get...
good slow motion in another part of this movie. Ah! Go ahead.
that grainy opening. It was so grainy. You could throw rocks through it.
Okay.
I was pausing for laughter. God damn it.
Throw rocks through it.
Homeboy, Cameron's hair looked like the fucking Beastmaster, and and his unibrow. Get some tweezers for that, please. That was too much unibrow for me.
You have a unibrow?
I did not notice that.
I didn't notice it.
You gotta tweeze. Oh boy. I know there's more. Ice cream rant, Oh, the paint cans. Like, that would kill you if paint cans fell on you, wouldn't it?
It probably fucked you up pretty good.
It
probably fucked you up pretty
do some more
good.
damage. Also, he also has the jacket. It's a poofy jacket. It looked like Marty McFly in a couple scenes.
Oh, yeah,
Anyone catch that?
the denim jacket with the
bit.
lining. Yeah, that's
This is like,
fine.
I'm like, it looks like Marty McFly. Not necessarily nitpick,
Marty
but
McFly doesn't own denim jackets, Matt.
It wasn't
alright?
denim. It was a poofy life preserver type.
Oh, yeah, later in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
For the record, I have no nitpicks.
Oh!
None.
A first for us.
Yes.
What, is it?
I didn't have any nitpicks for Inside Out. I mean, I said it could have been longer, but that's something.
That's you said something. I mean, you said something.
Oh, technically, whatever. It's bullshit. All right, let's move on to awesome things.
All right.
I'm pissed.
All right. Childish name calling. Begin. 3, 2, 1. Wait. fucking thing. Okay. Dog, awesome things. Dog licks his balls. Game recognized game.
In 20 seconds, I can break your fucking spine.
Very nice.
All of Peter O'Toole's lines.
Yeah, great dialogue. Great dialogue. My favorite line in the movie. It's amazing. You are alive given who you work for. And then Peter O'Toole's line, "Come, there's time for us to kill you yet." So good.
The stunt coordinator crashing his jet ski.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
Boom.
The stunt coordinator in
He didn't
general.
even stop. He just like, I'm just gonna keep going, and he just goes over the handles. And they cut it too early. They should have just let it play out.
Right. Sexy makeup lady. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great gal.
Good time.
No bra. Didn't need it.
I already mentioned this before, but the spraying down of the actors, this nice little touch.
Really great camera movement in this movie. They really move the camera around and really give you a sense of space in a lot of scenes, which I think a lot of movies, especially from this era and just especially in general that are lower budget movies, don't have the ambition to do or the practical ability to do. Fuck you. But I think it was really well done here. Really good stunts too in this movie where
The whole rooftop chase.
the rooftop chase, although ridiculous in a way of like, they're shooting machine guns at him, but no one's hitting shit. But then just them running around the roof was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they took time
Also,
to show. You got something to say?
The scene where they slip and fall and they fall into some lady's like hotel room window and they break it and then she comes out, she's naked and she's yelling at them like, "Yeah, you idiots! You just running around the roof and then you break my window!" And it's just like, you think to cover up before. I just love how the movie just is like, she's so outraged she has to confront them about this now. What? You got nothing else? You got nothing else?
It's something. It's more than a cool thing. It's like when you get to see the bygone era of doing stunts, because now it's very wire heavy CG. There's not really a lot of grace and finesse with it. You watch a movie like this and you're like, you get appreciation for what old stuntmen used to do, like really dangerous, death-defying stunts.
Yeah, I mean, people still do stunts. I mean,
There's more heart and character in it versus because everyone obviously.
Okay.
Everyone, obviously you're in a very safe harness rig dealy, and you're doing these crazy stunts, or you're doing it on a blue screen. The stunt, or actually, you wouldn't be doing stunt on a blue screen because that wouldn't make any sense.
But they're still. First of all, they're still using. They use cords and safety equipment in the past. It's not like that's not like they invented that in the 90s. You know what I mean? People have always been using like ropes and things to save them, and then they just roto it out. That's a chemical process you could just do. It was a lot harder back in the day. Now it's easier. And two, I mean, there's lots of stunts that get done practically in movies. It's mixed with CG to effect of alienating the audience a lot of ways. So, for example, in Transformers 3, I believe
That's Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon. Thank you, Kev. There's a scene where some military dudes jump out of a plane in squirrel suits and fly around Chicago, right? As it's being destroyed CG style. So to get that shot, they put a camera on top of a dude's helmet, right? Like a 3D camera. They put a squirrel suit. The guy's a trained squirrel suit diver, and then they actually jumped out of buildings low to the skyscrapers and flew around Chicago, where if you weren't prepared for the wind, it would knock you in the building, you'd be killed, right? So they actually flew the fuck around Chicago like madmen, right? Like crazy, insanely dangerous, completely unnecessary stunt. And all of those shots are full with CG, so you never think that they actually did it.
Yep.
So they ruined the practical effect with CG. But we do live in a world where people still do CG. I mean, the Mad Max movie just came out. A lot of those effects are practical. Most of that movie was practical. There are practical effects that still get done. It's just I think a lot of people assume that they're all CG. But
Sure.
And also there's like fight scenes are practically they're not gonna CG someone just taking a bump on flat ground. You know what I mean?
True. Something else I gleaned from the commentary, the shot when Eli takes Cameron up on his crane, that was actually Peter O'Toole and the guy who played Cameron, and they were actually 100 feet in the air.
Wow.
Doing that scene. They're only secured by like a very thin wire.
Wow.
They fell off. Yeah. Somebody of Peter O'Toole's caliber can do that good of acting at 100 feet in the air. Mm-hmm. Impressive.
That is impressive. I also don't long for days where we put people in unnecessary danger. Because no one's life is worth a movie. You know what I mean?
Agreed. unless you're Eli Cross.
Yeah, about to say. Can't speak for everyone, homie.
I don't speak for everyone. I certainly don't. But for me, live life. Be an old person. It's not cool. Dying on a set is not really that glorious.
No.
All right, so moving into post Q&A here, and then we'll wrap up season 1. In fact,
Season 1 finale.
yep. Does the filming of a movie within a movie? Do you think that thematically they're the same, or do you think that there's a disconnect between the two?
I think this movie does it in a really unique way, where it's playing into the paranoia
Yes.
of the main character. So, it can be a crutch, it can be a lazy, inside baseball way of telling a story, and you really only appeal to movie people. But this movie used it, again, as, paranoia is the big theme, and perspective, and I think it used it in a way that I've never seen before.
Right, because the way that what Rush was talking about it, he was talking about it as if they're telling the same story, but you don't really get the story of the movie. The movie is just a bunch of random scenes. So I do think that the shooting of the movie parallels Cameron's paranoia the same way you just said. I agree. Any thoughts, Matt? No. Moving on. Did Cameron cause that initial crash? Is he the reason why that guy died?
I think so. He ruined what seemed to be a very carefully planned shot, and he fucked up the car.
But theoretically, wasn't that stunt going to happen anyway, right?
Right.
That car was going to go over the edge
no matter what.
no matter what. So, homeboy just wasn't watching Mythbusters and didn't understand the reason behind that.
I'm not sure that the movie ever. I think Cameron. There's one scene where they're watching the footage back where Cameron is paranoid about the crack in the windshield and how he caused it, but then the stuntman guy is like, the elder statesman stuntman is like, that must have happened when they hit the water.
Yep.
And it looked like the dude started to panic and he couldn't find his respirator and he couldn't get the door open because he's supposed to roll down the window, but he tried to open the door. Right, that was the problem.
Yep.
So I don't think he caused the crash either. I think that's a red herring. Well, I think we're all in agreement that it's a PTSD story. It's about one man's shell shock paranoia being utilized to make a movie. Is there anyone who doesn't think that?
Nope.
Well, I think it now. I wasn't thinking about it when I was watching it.
Oh, only from our conversation. Learning lessons on this podcast.
Going to school.
You guys have any other thoughts or questions or?
I just really like this movie, and but I do like that everybody kind of gleans something different from it. In an age where I think these abstract stories and scripts kind of are always pushed into the art film range, it's nice to see somebody do it in a really big way. Like this just very paranoid thriller, but told in a really surreal way.
Yeah. And it was fun. It was a fun movie.
It was interesting.
I feel like the more we talk about it, the less you like it.
I mean, I understand what it's trying to say. I get its message and its theme and the metaphors of essentially Cameron is a prisoner in Eli's film, just like he would be a prisoner wherever else. Not to say that they're bad themes or
Right.
But I mean that's the impression that I got from it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a. Yeah. That's fair. You can.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Also, Richard Rush said that the dog licking its balls at the beginning was to symbol that this would be an iconoclastic picture.
What a crazy person.
He's an interesting dude, Richard Rush. I need to seek out some of his other movies.
Color of Night, best softcore Bruce Willis picture.
Yeah.
So wait, you're gonna say of all of the Bruce Willis softcore porno pictures, that's the best one.
Can't think of any other softcore Bruce Willis movies.
Of the one, that's the best one. All right.
I really want to see...
Controversial statement, perhaps, but we're gonna let you go.
I really want to see Frankie and the Bean, because that's the movie that Peter O'Toole saw and said, "Oh, I have to work with Richard Rush." So curious to see what old Peter O'Toole saw in that.
Yeah, I am also interested in that too. Any last thoughts on what this movie means?
I already gave my assessment.
Kev?
What does this movie mean? Get the shot. Get the shot.
That's all that's important. Get the shot. Yeah, I mean, just to wrap this up, in the making of the behind the scenes kind of thing, Rush was saying that the movie's about perception and how it changed, and chronic paranoia, and not being able to control our destiny in our own lives. And yeah, the character of Cameron was in Vietnam, and basically facing death every day, and it's kind of left him a damaged person. I really think that overall the movie's about that. It's not really. It's in the guise of making a movie, and there are thematic things that are happening there, and statements about movie making and the magic of that and such. And insider baseball things where they're debating doing the Charleston on the wing of a plane, if that's funny or if that's. And he's like, it won't be funny. I'll make it not funny. You know what I mean? How you can control it. How you can control something with a movie, and in a way, right? Like Eli has control of a world, the world being the movie, that Cameron doesn't have. Cameron is a pawn again in this world, just like he is in the real world. But Rush is God in this world, but Rush is not God in the the real world.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot to think about this movie, and I mean, if I ever see it again, which I probably will, I think it's one of the movies that probably will get better with more viewings.
I definitely enjoy it the more I watch. The first time it is there's a lot to take in the first time, and I feel it really does get enhanced. You see a lot more little details in subsequent viewings. So yeah, keep checking it out. It's a dense film, a deceptively dense film.
That's how I like my films. Deceptive, dense. All right, so that's it for season 1, right?
Season 1 is in the can.
Interesting wrap up. I believe me and you being Kev, liked every movie that we did, right?
For the most part, yeah.
I think I'll say that I did. Matt liked every movie that we did except for Starry Eyes.
He's a little dissent on Stuntman, I think.
Oh, and Stuntman, Cavsies.
Kingdom of Heaven wasn't awesome. But then again, I don't know what I said.
Matt might be we might be able to edit a thing, or Matt disagreeing with himself. But we're not gonna go there.
So Matt just doesn't like my picks. I see how it is.
Shit.
I liked Akira. Don't give me. Or whose pick was?
Smokey picked Akira.
Yeah, that's me. Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh, that's right.
Stuntman are mine.
Stuntman. All two of them.
Oh, well, we'll see what's in store next season.
What a great segue until next season, where we will no longer be voting on movies. We'll just be picking them and forcing each other to watch it. So perhaps come back next season and I'll be more upset and angry about things, and we'll see how that shapes up.
It's a good slate coming up. I'm excited.
Yep. So that's all for this episode. Come back, join us next season. See what we got to offer. Who knows what it'll be. Follow us on Twitter at Speaking Cinema. We're on Stitcher and iTunes. Rate, review, subscribe. Listen to us Jibber Jabber every single week. Plugs? Any plugs? No, still no plugs.
Still not famous enough for plugs.
All right. See you next time.
Have a good one.
no proposed sequel or.
All right, we're recording. I know you do. All right, ready?
Ready.
So,
All right, I am ready.
3, 2. 3, 2, 1.